Viewer discretion is advised. This story contains content that may not be suitable for all ages. You have been warned.
The Missing Children Incident by Lady Fuzzy. Narration made by Cosmic Moonshine. Prologue. Patty, with a sulky look on her face, kicked a Coke bottle in the deserted parking lot of the Freddy Fazbear Family Diner. She was angry with everyone. Of course, by everyone she meant her friends. It became true that they were not really her friends at all. They were always talking about fancy pens and stickers, like nothing else existed in the world. They are sitting in the diner, but they forgot to eat because they were also engaged with their glowing or fluffy stickers and colorful pens. She was unable to relate to that because her mother had never bought me anything like that. "We can't afford them," she had said. But Patty was not sorry at all because she didn't care for those things. Sometimes her heart ached a bit for them, but she liked much more adventurous stories and sci-fi rather than those silly things. But Missy and Bella were just chattering merrily, showing off the stuff while she was sweeping the crumbs on her plate. Bored, she was thinking of asking for Bella's almost untouched slice of pizza. She was seriously considering the matter since she was still hungry, and she knew that Bella wouldn't eat it anyway. But her mother's teaching not to beg for others' food, "It's not polite," held her back. Okay, wasting food is not a nice thing to do either. But begging for someone's food is even worse. So she didn't say a thing, just watched the pizza. Only a small part of its tip was missing. It was really barely touched. Bella's sticker albums laid open before her on the table. One of them has fluffy bunny stickers. Patty was watching them for a while, then she took one and placed it on her hand. It looked like a super cute tattoo. "What have you done?" screamed Bella. Of course, she noticed it immediately. "You're insane." Bella pulled the sticker off and also scratched Patty's hand. "Look, it got all greasy," she yelled angrily. "Why'd you do this?" demanded Missy to Patty with an accusing look on her face. Oh, she was so much like this, like a small adult. "Get away from our table, if you're not able to behave like a normal person. Just go," Bella yelled, her lips shaking. "You only destroy everything." Patty had had enough. "I don't care about your stupid stickers," she cried and ran away among the tables. They didn't try to stop her. And there she was, out in the deserted parking lot, in the stench of the rotten food and garbage, gray clouds hanging above her head, while inside, there was music and light and the sounds of everyone talking and laughing. She was the only one alone. The girl had already forgot about her. She saw it, because she was peeking through the window, careful not let them notice her and make them think she wanted to apologize and join them. It seemed like they didn't waste even a single thought on her, not even cursing her. They seemed relieved that they had finally gotten rid of her. They didn't look through the window. Why would they do that? Outside everything was an ugly dull shade of gray, while in the albums of Mary and Jill, who joined them after Patty had left, there were plenty of fancy puffy stickers. Patty turned away. Tears were gathering in her eyes. No matter how hard she tried to suppress them, she does not care at all what those Bitches think of her. This nasty word helped her calm down. Her mother hated that word, so she had never said it before. But now it helped her to not to think about her sadness. Bitches, 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 she said in a lowered voice. She wouldn't dare to say it out loud, not even if no one could hear it. After every word she trampled angrily on a Coke bottle, lying on the ground. It made her satisfied to see it being destroyed. She was so immersed in her rage that she hadn't noticed the old, purple car turning into the parking lot. The man in the car noticed her though. The lone little girl who was playing in the deserted part of the parking lot. Patty also hadn't noticed that the car had stopped in a place where nobody could be able to see it through the windows. But no one had gotten out of it. She hadn't noticed because she was crushing another Coke bottle and proceeded to push it into a half-rotten tomato. "I hope you like it, Missy," she uttered. She was imagining that she could take the tomato and throw it on the table, on their precious sticker albums, or even better, on their fancy dresses. She tried to lever the tomato with her shoe, but it wasn't as easy as she had thought it would be. She wasn't sure why she was doing so, but she tried to lever it up anyway. The man was observing her through the windshield, his breathing raspy. Patty didn't know, but the man was considering if he should go into the diner as he had planned or go to her beforehand. Meanwhile, the tomato had fallen apart and its pieces fell into the ground. It came again to Patty's mind that how Bella and the others were having fun inside while she was playing with the garbage. She had gotten mad again and had trampled another Coke bottle. It made a loud creaking noise while she was crushing it. Patty didn't hear it because of the noise that the purple car's door made when it had opened. She kicked the bottle and it struck the wall of the diner. "Okay, that's it for today," she uttered and decided to go home. "Damn it, Bella and Missy. You can do whatever you want. I don't care anymore." She turned, and she recoiled immediately. She didn't hear when the man had approached her. He now who stood there, smiling, at the corner of the building. But after she got over the shock, she didn't care much and tried to pass him. But the man accosted her with a friendly voice. "Sorry, but I was wondering if maybe you can help me. Have you seen a key ring around here?" "No," answered Patty, and because her mom always had told her to be polite to strangers, she added, "I'm sorry, mister." She tried to pass him again, but the man took a step toward her. "Are you sure it was a small key ring? My daughter lost it a few days ago." "She was around your age," he added after inspecting Patty. "Sorry, I'm just so confused." It meant a lot to her. "Are you sure you haven't seen it around?" Patty felt pity for the man and his daughter. She had lost things too, small things which could be nothing to anyone else, but she had cried a lot after losing them. She smiled at him. "I haven't seen it, but I can help you find it." On that note she turned back to the containers and the man followed. "What are we looking for exactly?" It was a tiny thing, a bunny, as I remember. Patty remembered that she saw a huge gap between two containers. Maybe it was there. The stench of rotten food was much stronger there, and she was stared into the dim light with a disgusted grimace on her face. "I can't see anything but garbage," she said. "Are you sure that the key ring is around here?" He didn't answer, but his breathing sounded much closer. Too close. Patty turned around frowning, but before she could say anything his hand grabbed her and tossed her to the wall. She quickly became scared and tried to scream, but his other hand grabbed her neck. She could only let out a choked groan. He stood very closely to her and tossed her to the wall, not only with his arms, but with his whole body. He was panting into her face with his warm breath. His cold eyes stared into the girl's. Patty's arms were stuck behind her back. She couldn't move her legs because the man had constricted them with his own while he was rubbing himself to her. Amongst her desperate struggles she felt an increasing pain in her throat. She tried to scream again, but he grabbed her neck with his other hand too and started to squeeze it. She was coughing, and felt like her throat had started to burn. Her vision started blurring, and she couldn't see else before everything turned into darkness except for the man's insane, sparkling eyes and snarling teeth. It really hadn't taken too long, but for Patty, it had felt like forever. When the girl wasn't struggling and rattling anymore, the man pulled her to the ground. Only the blooded whites of her eyes were visible, and a tiny drop of pinkish saliva was flowing through the corner of her mouth. One of her arms was in an odd angle. A joint must have been dislocated while she was struggling. The man looked around the parking lot, and when he saw it was still empty, he let out a shaky sigh. He was still breathing heavily. This was a reckless move, but when he saw the lonely girl playing in the most deserted part of the parking lot, he couldn't resist. This girl was offered to him by fate. She was so skinny, weak, but still so peppy and full of life. Killing her didn't feel as satisfying as he imagined. It was very confusing. The intimacy of feeling the child's body squirm against his turned him on, but it all happened so fast. In his fantasies the moment lasted so much longer. The hunt for the prey enhanced the thrill. It helped him to get closer to the victim, which made the whole experience more intense. However, the thrill of the moment quickly passed by, leaving the moment too short to enjoy. His reckless behavior just then could have caused him big problems. It was only a coincidence that nobody just walked in, and being caught wouldn't worth it. It made him shiver to think about it. The horrified and vindictive faces of the crowd as they gather around him, the humiliation of being arrested and whisked off to prison, where the inmates made him regret every day what he had done. Of course, that is, if he would make alive to the prison and the crowd wouldn't beat him to death in the parking lot. And it was not over yet. There was still a chance that someone just walks in. He was so quick to go after his prey that he didn't plan out what he would do after killing her. Luckily for him, the kid was playing near those large containers. They're big enough to hide the child's corpse inside. He opened one and threw Patty's body inside. She was slumped over the pile of garbage, her limbs in odd angles. Her bruised neck was so vulnerable. Her mouth was slightly opened, and her eyes were half closed. Looking at her made his stomach heat up. He quickly grabbed a shovel leaning against the wall and started scooping garbage to cover her body. Her shoes stuck out from the pile, so he grabbed some newspapers to quickly cover it before the sight made him too excited. After he successfully covered the body, he straightened his clothes and checked around to make sure no evidence was left behind or any witnesses hiding around the corner. The excitements made him hungry, and since he had planned to eat in the diner anyways, he decided to go in. If he walked away now, someone would surely see that as suspicious, and tracking down a purple car would not be that hard. He walked towards the entry. He took some deep breaths to calm his violently beating heart and to make a calm, deliberate impression. The last thing he wanted was to attract attention with his disheveled appearance in a place where so many children are around. He always loved how children just run around freely here. This is why this place is his favorite. He reached for the door just as a group of girls were heading out. He stepped aside and held the door to let the girls go through, all the while checking them out from the corner of his eye. It didn't matter that just moments ago he acted out his fantasy, because it wasn't as he wanted it to be. He wanted a more planned-out, satisfying murder. And because he knew he could do it, it was even more thrilling. Of course, the lust for thrill had subsided some due to the horror though of being caught in the act, but it was still there. As he was about to head in, his ear picked up on a small, but mature-sounding voice. "Yes, we'll come again tomorrow. We come here every day after the school, so let's meet up here." A 10-year-old girl with brown hair stepped through the door with her friend. They were both happy and smiling. At that moment the man knew the brown-haired girl would be the one he would kill next. He walked into the diner, closing the door behind him, all the while observing the girl through the window. She had such a thin little neck, it looked like he could crush it with one grip. Her eyes were big and sparkling. He couldn't wait to look into them as the life slowly drains from her body. She had just said she comes here often, so he can easily find her. He only had to know the exact days and times. He ordered his food, but he could only think about how he would approach her and befriend her without her parents getting suspicious. It isn't easy, but it's one of the beauties of the hunt that made it feel so sweet. It was that such feeling which he missed so badly from his first murder. He ate his dinner pretty fast. He was more focused on his plan than what he was eating at the moment. It was by a fortunate stroke of serendipity that he turned and noticed the flyer on the wall. "Security guard positions are open. Please come to the office for more details." A light bulb went off in his head as an idea popped into his mind. As an employee he can hang around near the children all day long, talking to them, befriending them, and it wouldn't be suspicious at all. Plus he'd even get paid for it. Nice. He quickly discarded his tray and walked to the counter. The waitress turned with a smile. "Can I help you, sir?" The man responded back with a friendly smile. "My name is Barney Miles and I would like to apply for the security job. Where can I find the office?"